you're fine with ignoring the red flags in a politician that's telling you what you like to hear because you do the same thing in your...
Go back and watch my Mutuals video. I want to add to this. I literally have been reading or watching videos about the Republican bill that's made its way out of the House and is now going to the Senate. And in this bill, it basically strips all the social programs that Republicans have been calling entitlements for decades, and all the things that Republicans said before the election that they were not going to do, they're doing. I also saw where someone called out the media who has put more energy into trying to discuss the merits of Jake Tapper's book and still talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline or the things the Democrats need to do for the next presidential election, but not what's happening right now. And how it ties into what that creator is saying is this. There is no one who has been around politics for any length of time, been involved in voting and whatnot, especially in the age of the internet and social media, that can feign true ignorance as to what is happening right now. Republicans have been doing this, hinting at doing this for decades. And I'm going to keep saying this until people get it. There is no misunderstanding about how this happened. Like I said this morning, there were people who were voting Republicans in as long as they said all the buzzwords. And that's why Black people have been calling it out more and more on both sides. You know, as long as Republicans talked about taxpayers or the working class or the middle class, those were buzzwords for white people. And white people heard that and were like, oh, okay, they're talking to us. Because Black people know, the ones who have sense, know that 9 times out of 10, white male politicians of either stripe are catering to white people. That's why this whole notion with Bernie Sanders and people trying to come in the comment sections of Black folks to tell us that we don't understand what he's saying or you don't see what he did wrong. Yeah. In a nutshell, people voted for this. Not the people who voted for Kamala Harris. People who voted for Donald Trump voted for what's happening. You know why? Because they didn't just vote for Donald Trump. They voted for Donald Trump and they voted for a Republican 9 times out of 10 to represent them in Congress. And nobody wants to say that. But Donald Trump, while he gets all the glitz and glamour because he's a sociopathic narcissist, Donald Trump is doing what Republicans didn't have the courage to do for decades. That's why I have zero empathy for people who have been diehard Republicans for the last 40 years. They know, you can go back to Reagan. Entitlements, as they call them, have been on the radar of Republicans since Reagan and possibly before. So now that this big bill is coming through and they're getting ready to gut all this shit, thank your friendly neighborhood Republican for this. Because guess what? Donald Trump isn't going to pass the bill. It's going to be Republicans. And if people continue with this feigned ignorance, like they can't understand how this happens, and next year you don't see a sweeping of Congress, you'll know this is what people want.